kind of gone off on the side road, on the fast track, or maybe office politics is really getting you down and you're not too sure who to talk to about what. Maybe you're even wondering if corporate life is all it's cracked up to be. Well, Dan England is here to join me today, author of Welcome to the Real Corporate World. Thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate it.
Good morning.
And I guess my first question is the real corporate world. What is the real corporate world in 1995?
Well, from my viewpoint, the real corporate world is a little bit more brutal and a little bit less sensitive than it was when I started. And office politics plays an awful big role today in surviving and getting ahead.
Now, you played the corporate game for how many years?
25 years.
And just recently made a decision to get out of that.
A year ago, June.
That had to have been a tough decision because of where you were in the corporate world. I mean, you had worked your way up to the top, so you did everything that people were supposed to do. You know, followed that fast track, worked your way up, were in a position that had some amount of power, and then you just kind of throw it all away.
That's right.
Why?
Well, I reevaluated my priorities in life, and I became more spiritual, and the priorities in life became God, family, and work in that order. And looking at it from that viewpoint, work and money didn't become that important.
Can you exist in today's corporate world if your priorities are not job first and everything else second?
That's a tough question, and people have asked that. It would be difficult to be very successful, and I've thought about that a lot lately, because you have to be disingenuous in some cases, and you have to make some decisions that are not illegal, but they might be seen by some as selling out.
That's a toughie. I mean, I mean, we're not talking illegal, maybe we're talking unethical or something like that for certain people.
Borderline.
Borderline. Office politics. What used to be office politics in the 50s, 60s, even 70s is like kiddie games nowadays in the 90s. From what I understand and from reading your book, office politics is a mean and nasty game.
Well, it's involved with power and it's involved with money. And anytime you get that combination, things get more complicated and more intense.
Can you learn how to play the game? Or is it something that you have to have the personality and the, I mean, it has to be in a person?
You can learn to play the game. There are some people they call players, that it's instinctual. Office politics is to some people, it's a win-loss situation, and the only thing that they want to do is win. Without any moral basis, it can be played very effectively. Any other person could learn to play some of the office politics, and it really is a good idea for people to be aware of it that are in the corporate world, because so they don't get hurt as bad.
You've been out of corporate America for a year now. So when you're talking, and you're a consultant now, and you talk to, I'm sure, a lot of people who are in corporate America, I'm sure you've kept some of your connections from your past job. If you could change things, I mean, ideally, can America's corporations, can the United States run without corporate America being the kind of mean, nasty place that it is today?
I think it could, because I've observed that there are usually two ways to be successful, and in the company that I was in, I saw that too. Unfortunately, the rewards are there for both ways. There's the mean and the nasty way, and then there's the way that is more thinking about what is in the best welfare of the customers and the best welfare of the people that are working in the company too. Both have to be considered.
We're an international marketplace now. I mean, you know, we've become so global because of communications, broadcasting, electronics, the information highway. So there is a real push to compete internationally now. Has that put an added pressure on corporate America, and is that part of the problem?
think the communications revolution that we're experiencing in computers is a great deal of the problem because everything happened so rapidly. A lot of people thought that the Soviet Union fell because of personal computers and email, electronic mail, that the big lie couldn't be given anymore and accepted. So in a way, the communication revolution has helped, but also it makes the office politics and the games that are played in the office speed up also. So we're rushing headlong into something, I don't know what, where communication is just making things faster and more intense.
If you had, and I don't know, you may for all I know, if you had a 22-year-old son or daughter who was finishing up, which you do, finishing up their last year of college, looking towards their entire professional life, what words of wisdom would you give them?
Well, I can tell you a true story. My daughter, Shannon, graduated from Washington University in St. Louis. She was Phi Beta Kappa. She outstanding job. She got a job with a major law firm in Washington, D.C. to be a paralegal, and she was going to go to Georgetown Law School. She was accepted. And she worked for a year in one of the biggest law firms in D.C. And she read the outline to my book and was having quite a bit of difficulty because she was young, naive, and trying to do the right thing. She wanted to work hard, and she was finding out that it wasn't working out that way. And there were other people that were being rewarded that were doing things she didn't really understand. After she read the book and went to the library and spent a couple of weeks reading about office politics, she realized something was going on. She did some office politics herself for a short period of time, got a trip to England out of it for 5 weeks. It was really great. But she came back and she reevaluated and said, do I really want to live my life this way? So she decided not to. She enlisted in the Peace Corps. It took her about six months to a year to get in, and now she's in Gabon, Africa as a fish farmer. So that's...
Okay, Dad. You've got a young daughter who is a fish farmer right now, after graduating Phi Beta Kappa from a major university. A lot of study, a lot of effort, a lot of work. 10 years, and money. 10 years from now, fish farming is probably not going to give her the kind of lifestyle that you had when she was growing up. Does that bother you?
I'm more concerned about what bothers her and how she feels about what she's doing. Is she feeling comfortable with herself? Can she live with herself? I'd much rather have her be doing something like fish farming and feeling that she's making a positive contribution than selling out, working for a large corporation, and maybe getting an ulcer in 10 or 15 years.
We can't totally, just as we wrap this up, we can't totally disband corporate America. It's not feasible. Corporate America runs the United States in many ways, if we want to look at it honestly. So what do we do to make the changes that are necessary for people to live the kind of lives that are healthy?
Well, that was one reason why I wrote the book, actually. I maybe naively thought that if I shed some light on the situation and showed people really what was going on and talked about it, that it would change people's attitude, and one by one, maybe people would make decisions. I think we are moving into an area in the future where we won't have large corporations controlling things the way they are today. I think individuals will be getting into business. The growth of the home office business is very popular. And by downsizing, it also creates some opportunities for people to grow.
And of course, downsizing is a whole other interview segment because it's happening across the nation, and downsizing is a unique term that covers an awful lot of problems. But Mr. England, thank you for joining me this morning. We appreciate it. The name of the book is Welcome to the Real Corporate World. And stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kellen Butler will be here. Thank you.